is why I bring these things up. I'd like to call the school board meeting for Tuesday, May 17th, 2016 for the Des Moines Public Schools to order. Please take the roll.
Ms. Langford.
Here.
Ms. Langford. Ms. Ellsburn.
Here.
Ms. Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Barron.
Here.
Ms. Caldwell-Johnson.
Here.
Ms. Newcomb.
Here.
Ms. Boson.
First item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Caldwell-Johnson, second by Ms. Ellsburn. Please vote. Motion passes 7-0. Next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes. May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from May 3rd, 2016?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Anderson, second by Ms. Langford. Please vote. Motion passes 7-0. Next item on our agenda is district recognitions, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Smith.
Good evening, board and ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
We have a full slate of terrific recognitions this evening, and given that we are here at Central Campus, it's only fitting that we get to share a large number of year-end awards earned by students in several of their programs. But first, one of our elementary schools is earning national honors for their counseling program. Madison Elementary School is receiving the recognized ASCA Model Program, or RAMP. This designation, or a RAMP designation later this summer during a ceremony at the American School Counselor Association annual conference in New Orleans. The RAMP designation recognizes schools that are committed to delivering a comprehensive data-driven school counseling program and an exemplary educational environment. Out of more than 100,000 public and charter schools in the nation, only 600 have earned this designation. Sarah Majoris is the counselor at Madison, and if you don't already know her, a reminder that in 2014 she was named the Iowa Elementary School Counselor of the Year. It is a pleasure to introduce Sarah, along with members of our district counseling leadership team, Meredith Doman and Heather Court, to come forward to share a little more about what this recognition says about our counseling work at Madison and in DMPS. Please welcome Sarah Majoris.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you today. RAMP stands for Recognized ASCA Model Program, and ASCA stands for American School Counselor Association. A lot of acronyms there. ASCA created the national framework for school counseling, as well as the student standards and mindsets and behaviors with which all school counseling programs should be aligned. Here in DMPS, we are working to align all of our programs K through 12 with the ASCA national model. RAMP is a prestigious recognition, as Matt said, awarded annually to only about 60 schools across the country who have exemplary comprehensive school counseling programs. RAMP counselors are leaders at their schools, within their districts, often at the state level as Sarah is, and nationally. They're tireless advocates for students and families. They're student-centered, data-driven, and self-reflective. It is the work of all counselors, elementary through high school, to support the social, emotional, academic, and career development of all of our students. School counselors are a critical link in helping all of our students, in helping increase the graduation rates, improve academic achievement, and helping all students gain the attitude, knowledge, and skills necessary to be successful at the next stage of their lives. Now, applying for RAMP is not for the faint of heart. In fact, it can take up to 3 years or more to have everything needed to create and implement a quality, comprehensive school counseling program, including the data and self-reflection needed to answer all of the questions on the application. Everything from how a counselor's day is structured to the percent of time spent delivering the various components of the model, to collecting data and analyzing how students are impacted by the work of the school counselor are only a handful of questions that are asked on an application. While implicit but not directly measured on a RAMP application is the depth to which school counselors go above and beyond to help students be successful academically and socially emotionally, goes hand in hand with who Sarah is as a person. If there was an award for excellence in caring, Sarah would receive that award as well. I'm grateful for the opportunity to work with and learn from Sarah, and we are lucky as a district to have her on our team. Thank you.
Thank you so much for letting me come tonight and speak in front of you. I am thrilled to be a member of Des Moines Public Schools. This is my 12th year in the district, and for the past 12 years, either in whole or in part, I have been a part of the Madison Elementary School staff. So I have had the opportunity to work with hundreds of children from kindergarten through 5th grade, throughout their elementary experience, and applying for RAMP was just a part of what I felt was important for our district to be recognized for the great work that our counseling department is doing and the work that you're doing as a board to really help us put these services in place for all of our students so that they can be successful. Thank you.
The Central Campus Broadcasting and Film Program is here tonight with a group of student filmmakers who have soared above and beyond the expectations of studio and classroom. More specifically, they have had their work entered and screened at local and regional film festivals. The scripting and planning and deadlines for many of these pieces date back to the previous calendar year when the filming started or when the entries were called for and entered online. Judging panels at the Cedar Rapids Film Festival, the National Academy of Television Arts and Science, the Wild Rose Film Festival, and the Iowa Motion Picture Association have all given their stamp of approval to projects submitted by these students. As you may suspect, many of these students are already working on their next big project. For some, it's college and film school, and a good number of them also have plans to participate in the Des Moines 48-Hour Film Festival in July. We wish them all the best and certainly thank them for their representing their school and their district with their creativity and their professionalism. I'd like to ask our broadcast and film instructors Kirk Johnson and Tim Coleman to please join me at the podium to introduce their award-winning students.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure to see you guys face to face. I know our facility upstairs has been a delight to work in. So much we can do with more than just 4 walls and a door. So if you haven't been up there recently, the studio space and the amount of equipment that we can expose these students to. So when they leave here, you know, they will have run a jib arm, they will have run a dolly, and not all films are made during the school day. So it's a unique situation where we're allowed to check the equipment out that they need, and it does make their work look really professional, and then we get a lot of compliments on their work ethic too when we send them out in the community. So I just appreciate your support for all the things that you provide for us to make it happen.
A couple months ago I said we'd be back, and we are. A couple things to share in a second. I do want to thank you guys as well. We couldn't do it without the equipment that we have, but really we couldn't do it without the students that we have. We have some very talented, dedicated students. We originally had 7 going to be here tonight. The others are involved with a lot of extracurriculars, a lot of school activities. They're very sought after at their home schools as well, very dedicated there. They're very well-rounded. But we've got 3 with us tonight. We have Abigail Jackson. Abigail had a very good year. She did an internship at IPTV last summer, was able to turned that into a short documentary and was recognized at a couple of film festivals this year for that. So I'd like to thank Abigail for the hard work that she put in, has really come into her own when it comes to editing projects. Behind me I have Helena Grunstadel. You remember her from a couple months back, as well as Brock Stillmonks. I can't say enough about these two, what's happened this year for them as far as all the film festivals that they've been entered in. But something new and different happened this year for us. Why don't you guys come up and hold this up for a second. What they're holding their hands this year, the National Academy of Television Arts and Science has nominated us for 2 awards, one for Best Music Video and one for Best Nonfiction Short. It was Helena's music video, and it was also Brock was involved with Helena and Finn Pilcher with the other piece. I'm up in Minnesota at these awards. They're doing it just like the Emmys, because really what this is a student Emmy. It's the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Crystal Pillar. They do the whole envelope thing, and the guy says, I don't think I'm going to be able to pronounce this, the winner of this. And I'm like, Helena Grun's title. They have trouble with it as well as we do, but can't say enough about them, and just appreciate the work that they did. And they couldn't do it without supportive parents and supportive administration and leadership that we have. And we just want to thank everyone involved with our program and just what it takes to do quality work. So I'd like to thank them. If you give them a round of applause.
I'll say something. Just once again, I'd like to thank everyone and all the departments that are involved with really not just film and broadcasting, but every department in Central Campus, just all of the funding and all of the equipment and all of the work and effort and time that goes into teaching these students, because we really do appreciate it. And yeah, I'd just like to say that. So thank you. Okay, and Brock's got something.
So I just thought of this, it's his last year, and so I'd like to thank Dr. Mack for all the years he's given us at Central Campus to be able to put these programs together.
Okay, this is really short, but I'd like to thank Central Campus, because if it wasn't for them, I really wouldn't know what I wanted to do. And like now I always carry a camera in my pocket.
And I guess I could offer up, if it's not too late, if for the next music video production, I know Gary McClanahan would love to be a backup dancer if that was possible. It's the award season, not only in filmmaking, but as the end of the year of school draws near, for several of our career and technical education programs. Central Campus has adopted the hashtag Best of the Best in promoting their programs on social media, and the teachers and students with us this evening back up that claim to the hilt. From the culinary arts to auto technology, from health and science to animal science, and much, much more, Central Campus students have been earning an array of state and national honors that we like to share with the board and public this evening. To help do that, I'd like to ask our Central Campus Director, Gary McClanahan, my sidekick and backup dancing, to please join me and introduce our teachers with us this evening and to recognize our award-winning students here at Central Campus.
Congratulations. How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for that intro. Good evening, board presidents, school board members, and central administration. And I love that intro. Thank you very much for thanking me. I just thought that was awesome. And while he gave me that intro, and I've got a lot to introduce, I just want to share to the school board members, central office administrators, the community, and on it goes, how much I am honored by the years of service that I've had in the Des Moines Public Schools. And really, boy, if I should say this, everybody's going to say, man, he is old. But anyway, I started off in 1975. I've been at 3 middle schools. I've been at 2 high schools. I've been at a central office and also Central Campus, Central Academy. I've never had a year yet that I haven't loved. Always years of challenge. But I just want to say thank you for those years of service. I am honored. And this is probably my last presentation. And I want to share with you, even tonight, I am honored to do the next part. Because quite frankly, Central Campus, the best of the best, and we say that not only for the state of Iowa, the United States, and internationally, we have had visitors from all those arenas. And I want to say from Australia, Russia, Netherlands, England, all over to see us, and school districts in the state of Iowa to try to emulate this regional academy that is absolutely state-of-the-art and best of the best. And so tonight, our students and our staff have hit some home runs. And I just absolutely want to recognize them. I am so proud of them. And some I'm going to read to you because the teachers couldn't be here because of other obligations or their students. So bear with me. And I'm going to start off with animal science. And I've got 3 students. If you'd come up and stand next to me, please. Thank you. Oh, I've got all 4. Oh, my gosh. That's way cool. If you guys would stand to the left so board members can see you, please. I'm going to read this. Mr. Nelson has given me this to read, so let's see if I can do a good job or not. Animal science, Mr. Craig Nelson. He is busy tonight at the plant sale, and so he is absolutely working or he would be here. I am proud to present the Des Moines FFA 2016 Horse Judging Team. Team members are Mariah Wright, right? Did I botch that too bad?
No.
Okay, good. I thought I really messed up. Nadine Garcia, Josie, okay, Josie Hill, and also Sam Stevens. Our team is extremely young team with 2 sophomores, 2 juniors. These students demonstrated poise and character beyond their years. To put things in perspective, most schools rarely ever advance onto national FFA contests. Our team has won the privilege of advancing into either the World Quarter Horse Competition in Columbus, Ohio, or the American Royal in Kansas City, Missouri. This is the first ever national contest team for our animal science program with such a young team. Mr. Nelson looks forward to the future. And here are those 4 students, and I would love to give them a round of applause if you would. And I asked them earlier if they'd like to speak. You still have that opportunity. If not, I'm going to say thank you for spending your time here tonight, and your coats look absolutely awesome. Would you like to speak, anybody? Share anything?
I will.
Okay, way cool. All right.
So I would just like to thank Central Campus and Des Moines Public Schools for giving us the opportunity. I know our team has enjoyed it so far. We've had so much fun. And without Central Campus being here or the Des Moines Public Schools being here, we wouldn't get as far as we've gotten. So thank you guys so much.
All right, the next area, I've got an instructor here, and I've also got one who is not here. But the first instructor is our auto collision instructor, Mr. Joel Samuelson. And the other teacher for automotive technology, Mr. James Boyd, could not attend, so we're going to turn this over to Mr. Samuelson. Joel?
Good evening, Board. My name is Joel Samuelson. I'm the auto collision instructor downstairs, and with us here tonight to help celebrate their accomplishments in a actual hands-on Skills USA competition, we've got Michael Vanislam, second place in the state for automotive collision repair technology, and Margarita Clemente, she is our second place silver medalist for the automotive refinishing technology contest held last month up at DMAC. It was pretty close. They didn't quite make it to the gold, but we were real proud of them. Also, we didn't get a chance to point that in there, but we have an old Model A, you might have seen it downstairs, that we took to the Southeast Polk Tech Expo, and it was awarded a first place group project, and it's a 1928 Model A pickup that's downstairs. You can stop by and see it sometime when you're touring the building. But I just congratulate these 2 folks to do a nice job at the competition up here at DMAC.
I want to say thank you to Central Campus and just in general Mr. Samuelson, because these past 2 years have really shown me, and I've grown as a person. I really learned that I'm more of a hands-on learner than I am like books and just writing down, and I feel like this would help me when I go off to college. And this is one of the main reasons I chose chemical engineering as my major, because I love chemicals and such, but yeah.
Thank you.
Also, I'd like to take this opportunity to speak for Mr. Boyd. He's unable to be here tonight for our automotive technology student, Chase Wright. Also earned a silver medal at the Skills USA competition last month up at the DMAC campus, and he'll get the chance, if the first place winner can't go, it's kind of like a beauty pageant. These folks are ready to step up and go to the nationals in case the first place winner cannot attend.
Thank you.
Board members, the next area I would like to introduce, it's a long title, so let me see how well I can do. College Biotechnology and Medicine, College Anatomy and Physiology, and College Neuroanatomy Research, Mrs. Kisa Kane.
Hi, I'm Kisa Kane, and I teach those things here at Central Campus. Prior to coming to Central Campus, I was at East High School for many years, and I'm just thrilled with all the opportunities I've been allowed to have here. It just is so amazing to get to meet students from all over the district. So I have students with me today. I have many more students that did win awards, but they're working and have so many other things to do at the end of the school year, but they are sorry that they are not able to be here. We had a lot of award winners this year. It was just really incredible. We have been to the World Food Prize, and I have 3 representatives there. We went to the Iowa Junior Academy of Science, and we won $1,000 scholarships, $250 scholarships. Shri Kundu is our Iowa representative to the National Junior Academy of Science, and she will be going to MIT in Boston in order to represent us there. She also will be going to the International World Food Prize that is also here in Des Moines. She'll be doing that in October. We had district winners, so this district science fair that we have, we took all 3 places in life sciences, and Abba Hoffman was one of the place winners. Famo Mohammed is honorable mention for biomedical and health sciences from the state. Famo is from North, Abba is from Lincoln, Shri is from Roosevelt. Mason Rhodes, V. No, and Gabriel, Mitzer. Gabriel and V were not originally my students. All the rest of these are my students, but I was able to sponsor these 3 for the state science fair, and they were able to win that section of the physics, and they just got back from the international science fair representing Iowa. And these guys also presented their research at Dukers, which is the Drake Undergraduate Research Symposium, and they won that too against all of the Drake undergraduate students. So they've been doing great work. And let's see, make sure I didn't forget anybody else. Another student who was unable to be here is our Iowa representative to the National Science Camp this year, and so she will be the female representative as appointed by the governor, Chloe Ibsen. And then we also had 4 students who presented from the neuroanatomy class at the DMU Science Symposium, where they have graduate students and medical students presenting, and 4 of our students, high school students, also presented there. So they've been doing just really remarkable things. Do you guys have anything you want to say?
So I just want to say thank you to the Des Moines schools and Ms. Kane for making it possible for us to go to compete at the regional science fair. We really enjoyed our time in Phoenix, and it was a great opportunity to present our research in physics and astronomy. So I just want to say thank you very much for allowing us this opportunity.
And I just wanted to add on to that. I'm very grateful to have taken part in Ms. Kane's program for biotechnology and medicine, and I will be participating in her anatomy and physiology class next year. It really opened up my eyes to the job opportunities in such fields. I went into the beginning of the school year not knowing what I wanted to do, and along the road of it, we went to so many science fairs, symposiums. So many people came and talked to us in each field, and it really pushed me forward to what I wanted to do with my future, which is something in the health sciences. And another piece of advice that she told me that stuck with me, it's not what you know, but it's who you know. And that will always stick with me. So, thank you.
I guess I should say something. I had Miss Kane for all 3 of her classes, anatomy, biotech, and this year neuroanatomy. And it really does open up a lot of doors for opportunities and for moving into those next steps in college. I built a lot of connections. We worked with Drake for our research, and so we got to know the professors there very well, and that was through Miss Kane and DMPS. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Great job.
The next area, board members, Chef John, he was unable to attend tonight, so I've got a paragraph here that I'm going to read about their recent recognitions. Culinary Arts at Central Campus is once again proud to share our students' hard work and awards. Our culinary arts students have amassed a collection of 25 medals in 12 different events within Skills USA and FCCLA. These students will be traveling to San Diego in July to compete at the FCCLA National Leadership Conference, and another 4 students will be in Louisville, Kentucky to represent Iowa at the Skills USA National Championships. We're so proud of that. I'd like to give them a round of applause and Chef John. We have 3 more areas, and I'm going to introduce Mr. Rick Homar for Engineering, Robotics, and Electronics. Homar.
My name is Rick Homard, and I'm the teacher of the Engineering, Robotics, and Electronics program here at Central Campus. And I'm honored to acknowledge the accomplishments of Stephen Toothman from Hoover, James Kiltz from East, and 2 other students who couldn't be here, Sterling McTee and Suleiman Makanovic. They're also from Hoover, and their efforts in the robotics division of the IT Olympics that was up at Iowa State on April 29th. They are a first-year team, and they were competing against over 20 other veteran teams. There were a total of 56 teams statewide, and they placed 5th overall for the sumo bot competition and the real-time challenges. So it's competitions like this that allow students to be challenged and apply their learned knowledge to problem solve real-world issues. And I'd like to thank everybody on the board for supporting the programs here at Central Campus. Thank you. You guys want to say anything? Or? Okay.
This next area, marine biology, Dr. Berard could not be here this evening, so he's written a brief paragraph, and I'm going to read that, and we'll absolutely give them a round of applause. From Mr. Berard, he states, Dr. Berard, I really cannot say enough about the dedication and hard work that these students put in. It wasn't just dedication to the project or creating a poster or even presenting orally, but the hard work commitment to be flexible and willing to learn about the entire process of simply registering for the different science fairs. This was the first year program participated in the science fairs, and I was happy with simply giving them the opportunity to share their awesome work with the community. Hearing their names called for an award or 2 was simply amazing and well-deserved. They absolutely earned 2 first places in the science fair, as well as 2 third places, and Carl Rasmussen, Iowa Academy of Sciences 2016 undergraduate college scholarship, top award for seniors. Carl received this award. So I'd like to give marine biology, Dr. Berard, and those students a round of applause. Thank you. I want you to know we didn't bring everybody to the table this evening, but I've got one last one, and it's one that I will read. And it's the Urban Teacher Academy. And Carol Henning is the instructor there, and she's written a very brief paragraph, but I think this is simply awesome. Carol Henning, leader of the Urban Teacher Academy, presented senior Demetria Hamilton a $12,000 grant and an aid award from the Epsilon chapter of Delta Kappa Gamma. Demetria was selected from a field of applicants from high schools all around Polk County. Delta Kappa Gamma is a national organization of female educators. And with that, everybody, let's give them a round of applause, please, if you will. Board members, thank you so much. Central Campus students are continuing to hit home runs, and thank you for listening to all of our student and staff awards. We appreciate it. Thank you.
One last time for our students. And just a reminder, as we all know, we have phenomenal students, but we also have phenomenal teachers, and this does not take place without teachers and counselors that are represented here tonight. So there's lots of more of them out there, and so we're excited to continue to bring these recognitions forward, for not only for you, but for the public to see. Thank you all for your service and what you do for kids, and thank you, students, for just being exemplars of what we need to be more like as adults. Thank you. We're not done yet with our recognitions. Tony Wagner describes the purpose of education as this: it is to help our youth discover their passions and purpose in life. develop critical skills needed to be successful in pursuing their goals, be inspired on a daily basis to do their very best, and to be active and informed citizens. I use that quote from Tony Wagner because I think it describes best about what we are looking to do here in Des Moines Public Schools, and that is evident by your service and your leadership as school board members in Des Moines Public Schools. So we would like to honor you. Deb's going to pass out a certificate to thank you for your service as a school board member in Des Moines Public Schools. Your leadership and your service to the students, staff, and families of Des Moines is what sets the tone, it sets the expectation, and it creates conditions like that so that our students and staff and families can thrive. So, Deanna Langford, Cindy Ellsburn, Heather Anderson, Rob Barron, Terry Caldwell Johnson, Natasha Newcomb, and Connie Bozen, thank you all very much for your service on the Des Moines Public School Board.
That's very nice. Thank you. Thank you. That's very nice. Very nice. Thank you. Thanks for doing that. That was the mass migration of audience members at this board meeting.
You are all on TV leaving. Just want to make sure that's pointed out.
Yeah, it didn't seem to stop anybody. All right, the next item on our agenda is a list of consent items. We allow any person the opportunity to speak to the board for up to 5 minutes following the presentation of an agenda item. If anyone wishes to speak to an agenda item, please go to the information desk to sign up. Remarks must be germane to the agenda, and we ask that you avoid reference to personalities and character attacks, as those types of comments serve no productive purpose. As a reminder to the board and public, the board will not engage in discussion or deliberation with the speaker regarding comments made to the agenda items. Discussion and deliberation will remain among board members at the board table, with speakers' comments informing said discussion, deliberation, and determinations as deemed necessary. We do appreciate your input. Ms. Caldwell-Johnson, do you have the motion?
I do. I move that the board approve the consent items in accordance with the recommended action for each item on the consent agenda, including bills previously authorized, certified, and approved for payment by the board secretary in the amount of $4,590,142.66.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Caldwell-Johnson, second by Ms. Bozen. Please vote. Motion passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is item E1, public hearing for Mid-American Energy Electrical Easement at Mann Elementary. Public hearing will come to order. Is there anyone wishing to speak to Mid-American Energy Electrical Easement at Mann Elementary? Hearing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Mr. Smith, would you please introduce the matter?
The superintendent recommends the board approve the granting of an underground electrical line easement to Mid-American Energy for $1 at Mann Education Center following a public hearing.
May I please have a motion and a second to approve?
Approval?
Second.
By Ms. Caldwell-Johnson, second by Ms. Bozen. Please vote. Motion passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is item E2, public hearing for renovations at the Walker Street building. Public hearing will come to order. Is there anyone wishing to speak to renovations at the Walker Street building? Hearing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Mr. Smith, would you please introduce the matter?
Superintendent recommends the board review and approve the proposed plans and specifications prepared by Studio Malay for renovations to Walker Street following a public hearing.
All right, may I please have a motion and a second to approve?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Newcomb, second by Ms. Ellsburn. We do have a presentation, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Good.
Okay, thank you. As we wait for that to come up, there we go. There you go. Right there. I have Mrs. Bosovich's glasses. I forgot mine. So I'm really styling here and there.
It takes a village, Mr. Good.
Okay, this will be somewhat repetitive because, as you remember, back 2 or 3 months ago, we talked about this issue, but I wanted to briefly go through it again, just so you could get a general overview of the renovation that is going to happen at Walker Street. What you see here is the second floor. The majority of our work will be on the second floor. You may remember that this area at the northwest would be locker rooms, coaches areas, and storage. This space here would be wrestling facilities, wrestling practice areas. There'll be some equipment, exercise bikes, some things like that. That I assume they won't be wrestling, but they'll have workout equipment there also. At the east end of the building, this is where baseball and softball will participate on rainy days and other days, where they'll be able to hit, pitch, field ground balls. They'll also be able to pull up the netting where soccer could use it on some drills. And also the idea is that potentially golf could use this also. The netting will all be compatible with all those options. What you see down here on the end are soft toss cages. And then these are the typical lengths of pitcher to catcher that you would see on a baseball or softball field. There is a little work on the main floor, and this was previously scheduled, and we were just going to tie this in anyway. But this is in our creating secure entrances. We're going to create a vestibule here and a secure entrance so we can best monitor the comings and goings of people and visitors coming to the building. We have met a few times with the athletic director, representatives baseball, softball, and wrestling, and they are all excited about the opportunities that we'll be creating for them. Timeline and budget for this project. Obviously tonight the board reviews, and we expect construction to start the 1st of July and completion on late September. The project budget is $800,000, and this is a year 2 designated project in the statewide penny funding source. So with that, if there's any additional questions or comments that I might be able to answer.
Any questions from the board?
I just have one
Ms.
quick
Boson.
one. When does the mobile classroom, the one that's left, go away?
Actually, maybe even this week.
Okay.
That last of the 3. So you may have noticed that it's being painted. It's not being painted by us. It's being painted by those that are taking it. So
Very good. If nothing more, then we have a motion and a second to approve. Please vote. Motion passes 7-0. Next on our agenda is item E3, public hearing for a demolition project at Central Campus. Public hearing will come to order. Is there anyone wishing to speak to the demolition project at Central Campus? Hearing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Mr. Smith, would you please present the matter?
Superintendent recommends the board review and approve the proposed plans and specifications prepared by RDG Planning for a demolition project at Central Campus following a public hearing.
And please have a motion and a second to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Caldwell Johnson, a second by Ms. Anderson. Please vote. Motion passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is item E4, public hearing for upgrades to the auditorium at Lincoln High School. Public hearing will come to order. Is there anyone wishing to speak to upgrades to the auditorium at Lincoln High School? Hearing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Mr. Smith, would you please introduce the matter?
Superintendent recommends the board review and approve the proposed plans following a public hearing.
May I please have a motion and a second to approve? Motion by Ms. Boson, second by Ms. Langford. Please vote. Motion passes 7-0. Next item on our agenda is item F1, presentation on transportation, food, nutrition. There's no action on this item, but we do have a presentation. I'll ask our presenters to come to the table.
I did draw the short straw to go first versus Sandy first. So. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I'm Todd Liston, Director of Transportation. 2 years ago, I got to do this for the first time in about 11 years, and it was kind of lengthy. Just after 2 years, this one will be much more condensed. So we'll kick it right off. Let's see. There it is. Proud to represent our department. Nearly 200 people transport 13,000 kids every single day, safely, with a student focus each and every day. Yep, there it is. All 136 of our buses are tucked into our facility on Prospect. You don't really see it quite like this from ML King or from Prospect Road, so the picture kind of represents a neat perspective, as it may. Quickly tonight, what we're going to talk about is our mission, who we are, who makes up our department, why we utilize DART. That's a big part of our operation as well. Some projects that we're working on, and again, follow up on our focus. Quickly, 10,000 kids to and from school each and every day on about 100 bus routes, plus another 3,000 kids on shuttles to different buildings throughout the district, mostly to Central Campus, but there are other shuttles that occur throughout the district as well. Nearly 40% of our work on the yellow buses is to serve special needs students. We're a very specialized operation. I'll talk a little bit later about how DART plays into that with our regular education students as well. Nearly 195 people in the department, as I mentioned, 136 buses, as I mentioned, and we operate about 1.6 million miles each year. There it goes. Our mission statement is very much student-focused. Our role is to ensure that the transported students that we work with each and every day are as prepared or more prepared than their peers. There are 5 specialists, plus myself, that oversee the department. Fairly flat organization, so 5 specialists overseeing about 180 employees. These employees are mechanics, they are bus drivers, bus associates, lead drivers, and a couple clerical staff as well. You've seen this before. Truly our daily struggle, having enough drivers to cover for what we do. I think there was even a news piece again yesterday. We really struggle with what we do every day, having enough people doing what we do. We scramble. Today was a rough day. We had to break a few routes apart and kind of put things together in a puzzle that we're not used to. We got it all done, but it was a bit of a struggle. Part of the factor of why we feel it's fairly tough to fill our positions, it's largely part-time employment. 85% of our bus associates are part-time. 59% of our drivers are part-time. And how that breaks down is, there it is. Part-time drivers work a minimum of 4 hours a day for roughly 185 days a year. If you do the math as I'm selling this and recruiting folks, it's $13,500 a year. It's a tough job for about 13.5. There is opportunities for extra work. I'll talk a little bit later about all the field trips that we do. Clearly extra pay, extra hours for our drivers, but it is a struggle for our folks. It takes, for those interested in making the school bus driver a career in Des Moines, it takes 3 to 4 years of part-time work to become eligible to move up to full-time. Full-time has a few more hours a day. The benefit package that typical employees enjoy or earn through the district. It's about a $28,000 a year job as a full-time driver. So what are we doing about it? Tons of recruiting. This is from a job fair that was done out at DMAC at their facility at Southridge. I realized today that this was one of our more successful job fairs that we did last year. I got 2 drivers out of it. That was like off the charts. Another one recruiting effort that we've done is at the Evelyn K. Davis Center. We've had some hiring events there. We've got a large representative pool of AFSCME employees in our department. We work closely with them. I'm happy to report this year worked with AFSCME reps to improve the body fluid cleanup process in kits. They came with some ideas. The fluid kit that comes on the bus was just way too small. And it's a little tiny package. It's what comes from the factory. So we've supplemented our kit. We worked with the reps. We did a test in the hallway with some chicken soup, and now each of our buses has an extra kit and new procedures, new training on how to deal with it. So very much a part of our partnership with AFSCME. 65% of our new hires this past year have been minorities. It kind of bumps up our overall average of about 47% minority that makes up our transportation department. Our new drivers that we bring on, it's about 120 hours of training before they're turned loose, for lack of a better term. I often say that during an interview that no driver takes the road before they think they're ready and we think they're ready to go. Included in that training is classroom training, DVDs, online courses, and of course tons of behind the wheel training. There it is. There. And the cool part is if there are folks that don't really care for cubicles or office work, we do offer a corner office for our drivers. There it is. A few words about our partnership with DART. Students in Des Moines have always used public transit to get to and from school. Last time I talked a lot more about this than I will tonight, but there's stories of our students using the electric streetcars that operated downtown, years and years ago. So it's been a part of our students' lives for, I don't want to say forever, but for a really long time. Our current partnership with DART in its basic form today has been around since about 1994. It is examined annually at the very least, if not more often, as far as their routes, as far as where our students live, how we can best partner to serve our kids. A quick synopsis of the rules. Eligible kids get a sticker on their ID. It allows them to access the DART routes to and from school. In addition to those students that are assigned and have the sticker, each student can access DART routes after 4 p.m. They can access them anytime on weekends or anytime during breaks. It's a fantastic opportunity for kids to learn the system, to learn to be a citizen in this city. In addition to our middle and high school students, it is middle and high school students only. In addition to our students, all Des Moines school employees may access regular DART routes to and from school. I know a lot of Sandy's folks utilize it, as do our part-time folks as well. The big focus on this is 83,000 rides are provided to our students by DART each and every month during the school year. Currently, we are finalizing the FY17 contract for DART services. There are a few tweaks to it, as always, as we do with our routes and where our kids are. But we should be anticipating just a small increase for next year. There it is. So what does DART do for us? This is the Hoover High School attendance boundary. And what's represented on this map are 4 routes to Hoover High School. Each of them are 20 minutes long. There's a total of 230 students routed on these 4 buses. Our routed students are typically within the boundary. As you can see, the stops are the little triangles on the lines. That represents the bus stops. Kind of makes sense. The old-fashioned push pins on a map where bus stops are, where they're going. But just remember, 20 minutes and 230 kids. This represents 4 yellow bus routes to Hoover High School. Clearly beyond the boundary, 59 students total. Each of them are 55 minutes long. Here's our big difference between the yellow bus specialized service that we offer and what DART provides for the large masses of kids. Reasons for why kids attend not in the boundary, why they're on yellow buses in particular, such as this, they're ELL students. They have a different set of rules as far as stop locations, attendance areas. Student placement, homeless students, which I'll touch on shortly, and of course our special education home stops. DART really allows us to be that specialized provider. Again, about 40% of what we do is to support special needs students. This is one of our little guys, preschool student wearing a safety vest. Kind of ties into one of our projects that I'll touch on towards the end. Smelson Van Meter is a huge part of what we do day in and day out. This represents 21 bus routes graphically. Again, we run about 104 routes every day, so these 21 represent a huge percentage of what we do, a huge part of what we do each and every day. 39% of our work is for special ed. If anybody's ever wondered for the demands, special ed programs represent about 30% of our overall operation. 27% is elementary schools, and you can see the rest. The other 18% included in that other is Central Campus. 117 times a day, a bus pulls up in front of this building to operate a shuttle. Each of those routes are about 14 minutes long on average. Some have 1 kid on them, some have 2 or 3. Others have multiple buses that are full. Depends on the program, depends on the school. Each of them are a little bit different, but at the end of the day, we still have a bus down there 117 times a day. Homeless students has probably been the biggest change over the last couple of years as the laws have changed regarding their transportation. So far this year, 1,200 route changes have been done for special ed, for homeless students. That's a different number because we track how many times their mobility. It's 2 or 3 motels, it's 2 or 3 different places per student. We go to hotels by Jordan Creek, we go to Ankeny, we go to Altoona. We're picking up students all over central Iowa just about. A quick note about summer school. In the school business, everybody asks what we do in transportation during the summer. Do you guys just do some maintenance and field trips? Actually, we run about 40 routes each summer. This graph is really busy. It's kind of hard to explain, but each column is a day during the during the summer months. So what this shows is the different programs that go. The programs are the rows. Some go every day for a couple weeks. Some go every other day for all summer long. All in all, it's just a pretty big impact that a lot of folks don't realize. So far this year, we've operated about 3,000 field trips. I'm proud to say that. Our record day was last Friday. 64 field trips, 64 daytime field trips were last Friday. 3,300 kids on buses last Friday during the day. Just a crazy amount. One of my coordinators, I joke, he's follically challenged and he's pulled all his hair out coordinating all this stuff. Years ago, there would be a cap on the number of field trips during the day that we would offer just because of time constraints, of salary constraints, but we've really tried to not say no. And that's probably the biggest change over the last 3 or 4 years. We don't say no. If it's physically impossible, if we just don't have the time, we'll figure out another way. We'll offer a different time, offer a different day, whatever we can do to accommodate the needs of the district and those kids wanting to go on a trip. A couple notes about safety. We do operate 1.6 million miles. There are a few mishaps from time to time. That bottom center one was just downstairs on the street in front of Central. The sun was bright. The gentleman didn't clean his windshield very well. Weather's a big factor in it, but we do have a few mishaps from time to time. There's about 20 preventable accidents each and every year on average. I did some research for your information. Tail swings, how a bus sits with the long tail end behind the rear axle. That can swing, and we've bought a few fenders and taken off mirrors with them in the tight spots that we get. We work with facilities to improve drop-off areas to clean those areas up. Cars and buses don't get along. So that's part of the work that we do to reduce those accidents, and especially those tail swing ones. Our buses are inspected twice a year by the Iowa Department of Education. Our numbers have slipped over the last couple of years. They've actually kind of caught up to the rest of the UEN, which is unfortunate. The rules have changed a little bit. We are catching back up with those rules. They've had some personnel changes. The inspections changed slightly. But earlier this year, we did have an inspection. They bounced back up to about 70%. Our goal is 75% passing on the first inspection. They're either small issues that are okay, that we can get fixed, or there are some serious issues that we put a bus out of service for. But again, our goal is to have 75% of our buses pass that first inspection. A piece that that the board will recognize is our bus replacement plan. We bid annually for new buses. We are thrilled to say that our fleet average age is 6.77 years. We've been getting about 9 buses each year. We get a mix of the large transit style buses. We get the regular kind of 65 passenger, the standard bus, and also wheelchair lift equipped buses as well. So each of these buses has at least one camera. That's important to note. I know that safety and security and cameras especially are a big deal in our district, and we're happy to say that cameras are a big part of our operation as well. We conduct surveys each year of our principals. The big focus of our surveys are to get feedback about our staff providing courteous and safe service. Just a few things to read through, perhaps another time. These are notes from teachers and from a principal about some of the good things that our folks have done taking care of our kids here. Now, Mr. Harper, this is your favorite one. What this shows is the transportation cost per pupil enrolled, and this is one of the Again, I'm proud to be here to represent the department, but I'm also happy to report that per pupil, Des Moines Schools spends 35% less than the other UEN schools in this state. The UEN average is $260 per student. We're at $169. For next year, we are working with the Iowa Department of Education and a manufacturer to conduct a test of seatbelts on buses. Last fall, the chairman of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration put out a position that they're supporting seatbelts on school buses. This is a pretty big shift for us. As a part of this project, this experiment, if you will, we will have 2 buses in our fleet next fall that will be fully equipped with seatbelts. We'll be providing feedback to the Department of Ed, to the manufacturer. They'll pass things on to the national level as well. Lots of concerns that we've seen about behavior, about emergencies. As we talk through them, as I talk through them with our driver groups, the first reaction is, well, what happens in an emergency? Well, we know that kids today, when they get into a vehicle, it's automatic. And we expect that to happen in the bus as well. It's automatic. You hop in, you buckle up. This is what you do, buckle up. What I hope to say and what I hope to find out is that the likelihood of having some sort of an accident because of distracted kids will go down. And so we won't have that accident where a driver is struggling to unbuckle these seatbelts. We're going to find out. We're going to have a test. It's kind of a cool new seat. It actually comes apart. It's designed to be replaced easily if it doesn't work. Or our other buses this year, we can add the seatbelts to them as well. It's called a convertible seat. It's actually pretty cool for a geek like me. So, some more projects that we are working on. We are trying to get tablets in the hands of our drivers. We're still printing route sheets. They're kind of hard to update. It's a lot of printing. It's a lot of paper. If we can have a tablet that's connected to our routing software, to Infinite Campus, we can get faces with names. We can get home addresses and stuff like that. So really trying to do that as well. Over the next year or two, we will be experiencing smart cards for our students. We conducted a Kaizen event a few weeks ago. Not only myself, but facilities, Tim Schott, talking about what all kids can do with a smart ID card, from access to the bus, to building access, to activity access, to obviously a cash type card, or a debit card, I guess it'd be in this case. So the possibilities, I think we're just scratching the surface on. So that's forthcoming as well. Unfortunately, Dr. Ahart is here. The joke was distinguished guests are welcome, and I was referring to the student, of course. And since he's not here, actually Sharon was his driver that day, and she tried to give me a referral because he was drinking on the bus, and it's clearly no food or drink on the bus, but we did let it slide. But that was a fun day. I think she was, if you look on her face, I think she was pretty shocked to see the superintendent there. Our core mission. Peyton Manning, his completion percentage for the football fans, 65%. Ours is 100. 65% would be absolutely horrible in our business. So our completion percentage of transporting kids to and from where they need to be safely is 100%, and there's no other accepted number. Any questions for me?
Ms. Langford? Then I'll get you.
I have a couple questions to follow up. The first being, I was wondering if you had any insight as to what are some of the major causes that we're seeing. I want to get back to the slide. In terms of buses that are passing inspections, because I see that we're starting to increase, but we were it seems like we were in the 80%, peaked in 2009, and then within the last 3 or 4 years ago. So we've seen some declines, and now we're on the rising of it. I'm just wondering, what are we seeing? What are some of those issues, and what are some trends?
Sure. The last couple of years, rust has been a big problem for us, as the streets have been treated more with the the anti-ice. It's very corrosive on the buses, so rust is a big deal. The inspection method has changed recently as well. There's other small things, and I have on my desk, I have a dome lens from a bus, an interior dome lens. It's a little piece of plastic. It's warped about 1/8 of an inch, and that caused the bus not to pass.
Okay.
We had another bus that had been inspected 14 times, passed for 14 times. The inspector noticed that the strobe light was in the wrong spot, and it didn't pass. There are things. I mean, we're very focused on the steering, the brakes, the tires of our buses. There are little things like trim screws and dome lenses that sometimes do trip us up.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. My second question was, you talked a lot about the increase in the need of homeless students and their transportation needs in the district. And so I'm just wondering if you could give us a general overview of what are some of the needs of our homeless students in the district in terms of transportation?
As far as their needs themselves, or just some of the details? Or?
So, yeah, I guess, if I'm honest, I just hadn't given much thought to the transportation needs of our homeless students. And so to hear that we're actually, going out to motels and we're going, what does that look like? Does that make sense? I don't know if that's enough.
Sure. We do support the federal McKinney-Vento Act, which basically states that a student that becomes homeless shall continue at their original school, and transportation will be provided by the district. A new change to that is after a certain amount of time, the law had allowed for the student to go to their new school if they're in a new attendance boundary. Now, the change recently has been there's not a time limit, so they don't have to assimilate into the new feeder pattern, for example.
Mm-hmm.
The homeless students do impact us greatly. Typically, we'll add those students to the front of a bus route, if that makes sense. So we'll pick them up first. So we'll run over to West Des Moines, run to Jordan Creek Mall to the motel out there, pick up that student, and then we'll start the rest of their route. So it adds a fair amount of time, adds a fair amount of cost to our operation, and a lot of mobility, because it takes an effort to keep track of the kids, to make their changes, to get them to school and routed quickly. Probably didn't answer your question very well, but again, about 1,200 changes, each year, and we're on track to surpass that as well. So just a ton of kids, unfortunately, aren't where they started this year, last year, or the year before.
And parents have to declare that they're currently without housing or shelter?
There is a process through the district of ensuring and I guess proving, for lack of a better term.
Okay. And then I just had one final question. We were looking, because you mentioned there were so many people of color who are working in our bus driving positions, full-time, part-time, and associates. And I noticed there's a process from which you go from being a part-time driver to a lead driver. What's that process look like, and is there data, and I'm not asking for it today because I know I would have to have asked for that in advance, but is there data that shows demographic information about who are in our lead driver positions and full-time positions versus part-time positions?
Sure. Yeah, I'd be glad to provide it. The promotion guidelines, as you know, we are an AFSCME union shop. There are promotion criteria that we do follow, say from a part-time person, part-time driver, part-time associate, to move up to full-time. There are criteria, but it is largely seniority based. So ultimately, who gets that open position? It's the most senior person that qualifies.
Okay.
But I can provide the other demographic data for each of our three groups. So.
I believe we have a process. I have to see if the entire board finds that information necessary. But I appreciate, it's good to know that it exists. Thank you.
Ms. Caldwell-Johnson.
Thank you for your presentation. Just a couple of really quick questions. You talked a little bit about the hiring challenges. Can you talk a little bit more deeply about what those are and if we are experiencing the same thing other places are and who our biggest competition is? I think I know, but.
Sure. A couple examples. We have very strict hiring practices here. To be perfectly honest, I don't want to badmouth anybody or take this the wrong way, but we have interviewed current bus drivers at other operations throughout the metro, and they haven't met our criteria. Several, a large transit operation and some other operations throughout the district as well. It's tough to find people that can commit to working 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. for 4 or 5 hours a day. I think that's our biggest challenge. It is part-time, so there's not a full benefit package. The good people out there have jobs. In this economy, in this market, what we found, the good people out there have jobs. There is one school district, and we did a study this past year, one school district in the area doesn't have a shortage, and that's West Des Moines. West Des Moines hires each driver full-time with benefits.
Wow. Of course, they probably don't have as intricate a system as we do, and
it's not
there are a
nearly as
lot of
complex.
variables that are in play here that clearly aren't in play there.
We are the largest and by far the most complex operation in the state.
And I think I can answer my own question, but I think I want to hear it from you. So as I was looking at the map that you showed on the multiple trips to Central Campus daily, and I think you mentioned that there are times when it could be 1 or 2 students and other times when it could be a much larger number. But I'm assuming we don't utilize DART for Central Campus because of the quick turnaround times that are required for students to leave their home school to get here and vice versa?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. There is a DART route that is close to Central Campus. It does go west. I know that there are some Roosevelt and Hoover kids that do access it if they need to stay late. For example, past 2:15. But as a rule, with the tight passing periods and the quick turnaround that is needed, we operate all the shuttles.
Okay. And then my only other question is around the inspections. Are the inspections annual, or is there a higher frequency for those?
Twice
inspections?
annually.
Twice annually.
Yep,
Did you say that and I missed it?
We've done one so far, and our next one is in a few weeks. It's the second week of June.
Okay. Thank you.
Further questions? Ms. Newcomb.
Okay, sorry. Thank you for your presentation, and I'm going back and forth through these slides, and I apologize, I didn't mark where my questions were, so I lost a few of them. I had just a quick question on the spending. As comparatively, we are spending a lot less. Is that, I would have to imagine, making an impact on some of the services and, I don't know.
We work very efficiently. I don't know how inefficient the other places are, as far as their actual rules. Proud to say, our 3 route specialists do the very best they can to address the homeless situations, to address route changes that don't fit the mold. Honestly, I just think we do it a little bit better on fewer buses each day.
Kind of going along with that, and I apologize if I had missed it, but recruitment, obviously a challenge. How about retainment? Is that something that there's a constant, or there's a flow to it, or?
It is. Typically, what I will explain to an interviewee coming on board about the full-time, about the process is, most of the time, once a driver gets full-time, they don't go anywhere except to retire. So that kind of dictates how fast a part-time person moves up to full-time. the positions that we have, again, the partial year, the long days, the very strict hiring guidelines. There are a lot of people that would like to be a bus driver and get $18.24 an hour. It's an awesome hourly salary, but they just don't cut the mustard. They just don't have the background for it. They're just not good enough to work with our kids.
And I guess kind of an odd question, and just because you had brought it up, is there a timeline that you're kind of looking at some of these projects, like getting the tablets out? I'm sure there's.
We've got an RFP currently for a new routing software system. Included in that are modules for the tablets, for like a field trip module and stuff like that. So, and again, kind of the transportation geek that I am, we're pretty excited. We've been with a provider for a really long time. We're excited to see what else is out there. It's going to be a big change for us if we do make a change over the upcoming months. So we haven't got the RFP information back. We don't know exactly how much it's going to cost and what it's going to do to put that out there. We don't want to print anymore. We want to get better information at our drivers' fingertips who are out there on the streets. We want to have better information to our parents, to the buildings. And I think we can do that. We're excited to potentially be doing that in the upcoming months.
Thank you.
Any further questions? All right, thank you, Todd. Ms. Heisman.
Excuse me. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I'm Sandy Heisman. I'm the Director of Food and Nutrition Management and want to share a little bit about what we're currently doing in our department. Each day, we are serving about 13,000 breakfasts, 22,000 lunches, 1,800 after-school snacks, and 10,000 fresh fruit and vegetable snacks. So obviously, to get that done takes a lot of employees. This is our organizational chart. And in the bottom corner is our current number of employees. We have 341 employees. Ideally, we need to have 360 to 375 employees. We're experiencing similar challenges as Todd is with recruiting employees. Again, our full-time positions, when people are able to move into those, they do stay, but our part-timers are looking to move into full-time, and again, it is a real challenge to find those individuals. So we're trying to be as creative as we can, but fortunately, we do have a lot of friendly faces that are here each and every day working to get those meals served to kids. So we'd like to have additional people join us. It's great Mother's Hours, so if you know anybody, please send them our way. Just a snapshot of our expenses. For our department, not surprisingly, our major expenses are food and salaries and benefits. We have seen the percentage of our budget going towards food increasing. I'm sure many of you have seen that happening to your own grocery bills. The cost of food is going up. But we are an enterprise fund, and we do have the revenue to cover that. We do rely primarily on federal funding. The pink and the blue, the pink covers our revenue from our lunch program from USDA, and the blue is for our school breakfast program. Again, we get small amounts from other programs, but again, we are very reliant on those federal funds to support our program. We have been able over the years to get rid of some of our older equipment and replace it with some new equipment, thanks to some of the remodeling that's happened as schools are remodeled. The kitchens have also been able to benefit from that in the kitchens. And then we've also been able to receive some USDA equipment grants for our district that has helped to meet some other needs. One thing that we're very proud of is our continued increase in participation in our program. We've seen some nice increases over the years. Last year, we exceeded 2 million breakfasts served in the year, and 3.8 million lunches. So a lot of meals being served to kids. There's several factors that have helped with that. One is the community eligibility provision. That was authorized by Congress as part of the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act of 2010. It was piloted in some states. In Iowa, we were available when it was available nationwide to participate, and that was in 2014. So again, over the last 2 years, we've been able to take advantage of this provision, which allows schools in low-income neighborhoods to provide free breakfasts and free lunches to all students, regardless of whether or not they fill out an application. It is based on identified students, and what our identified students are those students that we would already have qualified for free meals without an application. So their families receiving SNAP assistance or FIP or TANF funding, homeless students, foster students, would all fall into that identified criteria. And the federal standards currently allow us in any schools that are 40% or more of those what we call directly certified students, we can have those schools as a community eligible provision. And again, the big benefit there is that it eliminates the burden of collecting those applications. Again, it's a process that for many families is confusing, overwhelming. They don't understand that they need to fill out an application every year. So this has been a real benefit to many. For our students, it allows access to free nutritious meals for, again, all those students. There's no stigma of, oh, it's the kids that get free lunch that are getting those school meals. The elementary principals have really enjoyed it because it helps to move the kids more quickly through the line. They're not, it's really great to see how well the kids can pick up their 6-digit number to put in for their lunch account, but by eliminating that at the community eligible schools, we really have sped those lines up, and it gives the kids a little bit more time to eat. Again, for parents, they're not having to fill out that application every year, and for our staff, it really, we aren't spending as much time processing those applications and can really spend more time on the kids. Again, the graph showed the increased participation. One other benefit is that it allows some more creative ways of delivering meals, and the next slide talks a little bit about a breakfast in the classroom program. Certainly, it's helped us financially. We get better reimbursement with the federal reimbursement that we receive through community eligibility than we typically do have in the past with when parents are paying for their children's meals. We had a significant issue with unpaid school meals funds. We're still working towards that, but we've seen a 6% reduction in those unpaid fees with the implementation of community eligibility. I mentioned breakfast in the classroom. That's a program that we started 5 years ago at 25 of our schools. We again provide a no-cost breakfast to kids as they come in the door. They grab their breakfast, they go to the classroom, eat their breakfast. It's incorporated as part of the school day. So there's not the again, that stigma of, oh, it's the kids that are getting a no-cost breakfast that are going to the cafeteria. And it also helps with the hustle and bustle of the start of the morning. As parents are rushing off to work, kids are provided, they know that their child will have a meal at school. We have relied on many partnerships to make this successful. Again, the schools that are participating, the principals at each of those schools have embraced the program. Teachers, we try to make their involvement with the food piece as minimal as possible, but again, we do rely on them. And a big partner as we were implementing the program was the DMEA. Again, they were part of our training. They fielded questions and concerns from teachers to make sure that that program went smoothly. And nationwide, the National Education Association has partnered with schools, and some of our principals within our district are participating at a national level and showcasing the program at Des Moines. So great to get that recognition. And now, ironically, this is labeled easy access to information, and I'm going to see if I can do this. And if not, Kyle, I'll let you take control. Oops. Nope. Okay. Oh. No. We have tried to automate as many things as we can to make, again, access to information easy to parents. And we're going to be pulling up our NutriSlice program, which is part of the Des Moines Public Schools app. We have a dining app in there, and hopefully you've had a chance to look at that. So Kyle's going to click on that, and okay. Well, is it working on yours? Okay. So why don't you go ahead and choose an elementary school. And just any of those, that's great. And we'll look at lunch. And this is, again, an application that's out there that parents can look at. So for instance, if this pulls up the May menu, and why don't you go down to the roasted chicken drumstick that was served on the 12th? And that's a antibiotic-free roasted chicken breast drumstick that we're serving to kids. And as you hover over that item, it does pull up the nutritional information. So as parents want to know what's in the items, we do have that readily available for them. Also up in the right corner, for the view carb counts, for individuals with diabetes, they need to know the carbohydrate content of the foods that we're serving. So this is an easy way to access that. We've worked with the school nurses to make sure that they're aware of the availability of that. It allows us to quickly update items. We used to have to print lists, and then as products change, get a new printed list out, and it presented some real challenges. So now, as things change, we can make sure that we're going in and looking at that. You can close that out. It also, again, if you go to the show special diet information, okay, you'll just have to click I agree. And so, for instance, if a child has an egg allergy, if you go up to, in the box there, click egg, it will cross through the items that have egg in them. Again, if a parent fills out a special diet sheet, we do work with each of our cafeterias to make sure that we are providing the appropriate food for children. But again, especially at the secondary level, it's a real helpful tool for students to use and have access to. Also available in this application, scrolling down, is, and you don't need to click on this, but we do have a link to our application for free or reduced price meals. Again, with community eligibility, we have 38 of our schools that are do not need to fill out applications, but at those other schools, we really encourage parents to complete that application online. It really helps with privacy issues. Again, with a paper application, we try to make sure that those goes into sealed envelopes and get to us directly, but it's real easy for those to get misplaced and not get to us quickly. So when applications are filled out online, it also prompts parents to make sure that they're completely filled out, so there isn't any information. And once it's submitted, we are typically processing those within the hour during the school work week. So again, it has really helped us to make sure we're processing that important information very quickly. And then the last thing I want to point out on this page is My School Bucks, which allows parents to make payments into accounts. They can set up automatic notification when levels are low. They can have automatic withdrawals so that there's money going into those accounts on a regular basis. So again, we really are trying to make as much information available to parents as we can. Okay, you can go ahead and close that out. For our K through 3 population, we have a Pick a Bread or Snack program. That's facilitated by Lynn Jenkins, our nutrition education specialist. And we also have a registered dietitian, Anita Trzynski, who works with the program. And we also contract with local Hy-Vee dietitians. So they are in over 330 classrooms on a monthly basis. They go in, have a tasting of some special foods. It might be asparagus, it might be watermelon, various that they've done garbanzo beans and hummus and things like that, trying to introduce kids to different foods, make sure that they get excited about having fruits and vegetables as snacks. We also received a Farm to School implementation grant and are working closely with teachers to get input on what they're looking for. We had actually 478 teachers respond to a survey about school gardens. Again, this is an implementation grant, so really fine-tuning some of those processes. Another thing that we're looking at is how we can look at local foods, working with local producers. Obviously, we typically work through a large provider for food, but what can we do to maybe introduce a few more local foods? We recently purchased 300 pounds of aronia berries and had those for school breakfast week for the kids. So again, hope to see a little bit more with that. We have the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program at 27 of our elementary schools. This is a program specifically for elementary, and it provides a fresh fruit or vegetable snack on a daily basis. Selection for the program is based totally on the free and reduced percentages. So that's why it's currently restricted to the 27 schools that it's in. And coming up, we're spending a lot of time planning for our summer meal program. Again, meals are offered at no cost. Again, no need to complete applications. They're located in schools and park sites that are in neighborhoods that are 50% or more of the children qualify for free meals. Last year, we introduced some hot meals at some of the school sites, and this year we're expanding that to 10 schools. Again, at our park sites for food safety issues, we will continue to serve cold foods, but we've found that, again, kids find a hot sandwich a little bit more interesting than a cold sandwich throughout the summer. And new this summer for parents, we'll be promoting that if they text the word food to 877-877, and then they'll be asked to put in a zip code, it will provide some locations for those meal sites. I believe you've seen our listing of meal sites, and it's a little confusing when you have 40 meal sites on a page. So hopefully this will make it a little bit easier. And we certainly encourage families, they don't have to go to the same meal site all the time. I know I've spoken with one mom who, that's kind of their summer activity, is going to different park sites, and the kids get to see the play equipment at each of the park sites and make sure that they get a nutritious lunch during that day. We also focus on menu development. Again, we've got some pretty specific guidelines that we need to meet as far as calories and fat and sodium, but we do try to introduce new items. Chef Chad is our face of food for Des Moines Public Schools, and he does a great job working with schools, working with our cooks to make sure that we're trying to introduce new foods and making sure that they're prepared and presented appropriately. We also try to do some cafeteria promotions. We have dietetic interns with us for a 12-week rotation in the fall and the spring, and typically you can see one of our interns dressed up as Mr. Hurricane at Hyatt promoting the Flavor Station, and then another intern dressed up as a Power Panther for our school breakfast promotion. So our food corps members, we're promoting kale at a school, and again, just trying to introduce some new items to keep things interesting for the kids. This year, Weeks Middle School received the gold recognition for the Healthier U.S. School Challenge. It's a voluntary certification for schools that really make an effort to incorporate healthy foods, healthy activities for kids, and it's a fairly extensive application process, so it's great that they were able to be recognized. Within the last 2 years, we've introduced food rescue. One of the complaints nationwide with the school nutrition program is the amount of food that's wasted. We have requirements on what kids need to take. A new requirement 3 years ago was that every kid needed to take a fruit or a vegetable. And we are seeing more and more fruits and vegetables being eaten, but this provides us a way of making good use of those. We cannot reuse those items in our program, but what we do is we have bins that the kids put their food in, and then our staff will go through and make sure that it is a good product. For instance, the middle slide, you can see a carton of milk and some orange juice there. We can't reuse items that are time and temperature sensitive. So we don't know that we can't guarantee that that's safe. But in the upper left corner where you have primarily packaged foods, those foods can certainly be reused. And we're partnering with school nurses. We know that kids will come into the school nurse's office and complaining that they're not feeling well, and often it's because they're hungry. So by providing those foods to the school nurse, they're able to have food for the kids. It's helping with their budget. They're not needing to purchase foods for them. And at some of our schools, we've even been able to send additional food home with students that are identified as needing that. And that's currently at 27 of our schools. I'm sorry, 23 of our schools. All these numbers I get mixed out. Another new program is the supper program. We're currently partnering with the Boys and Girls Club. For that, they are actually the sponsor. They contract for their meals, and we provide those to them. Secretary Vilsack came to the McCombs site, and he was actually serving the kids. We're serving between 40 and 60 kids at both of those locations, evaluating expanding to the Carver location next year. Again, staffing issues are presenting a few challenges for us, but again, it is another way to make sure we're serving kids who may not be receiving a good meal at home in the evenings. We're also focusing on training of our staff. The Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act did establish some requirements for minimal training, and every food service employee needs to have at least 6 hours of training on an annual basis, and the requirements are higher for our managers and director. So we've been creative with some different choices for training. Currently, we have 48 of our employees who are ServSafe certified. We had done food safety training for our employees again, covering the basics. ServSafe is a nationally recognized program that, again, requires passing the test and a 5-year certification. So it, again, enhances the skills of our employees and increases their knowledge of handling food safely. And then the final piece I want to talk about is our All About the Kids Award. We implemented that 2 years ago. Linda Anderson was the general manager of the nutrition at the Central Nutrition Center. She retired 2 years ago, and we were wanting to recognize someone who'd been with the district for 40 years. She started out in the dish room at Lincoln and worked her way up to the general manager position. And one of her favorite phrases as we were talking through implementing new projects was, well, remember, it's all about the kids. You know, we make sure we're not getting all these hurdles and reasons that we couldn't do programs. And she was, of course, also focused on development and professional development of herself and others. So Rhonda Murillo and Lisa Grossnickel. Rhonda received the award last year and Lisa this year. And again, our emphasis is on developing employees, and as part of receiving the award, we are sending them to the state conference, covering their expenses to attend that and to continue to enhance their skills. And just a reminder on the importance of nutrition. It certainly impacts education. USDA research indicates that children who participate in the National School Lunch Program have superior nutritional intakes compared to those who bring lunch from home or otherwise do not participate. And certainly when a child's nutritional needs are met, the child is more attentive in class and has better attendance and fewer disciplinary problems. So again, we want to be there to provide food each and every day to those kids. Any questions?
Thank you for that presentation. Do you have any questions? Ms. Ellsburn?
Thank you for the presentation. Love the app and everything that's been done with the school menu with all of the information that is very readily available. Also love this food rescue program. I think that's excellent. It was always hard knowing that all of that was getting wasted. Completely understand the safety hazards with some of the foods, but wonderful that we can reuse what we can reuse. A couple of the questions I have are in regards to a la carte as well as the school breakfast. First of all, a la carte, I see it's 2% of our revenue. And what are the guidelines that are used as far as determining the nutritional value of the foods served in a la carte?
There are specific federal guidelines, Smart Snacks guidelines that restrict the number of calories, requiring whole grains if they're a grain product, restricting the fat, the sodium in those items.
And is a la carte, that is a secondary
Right.
level?
We don't have any a la carte available for elementary. It's just at our middle and high schools.
Okay, and does that revenue supplement any of the reduction in fees unpaid, or is that just a...
The revenue allows us some flexibility. For instance, I mentioned our fresh fruit and vegetable program. Last year, one of the schools did not get awarded the fresh fruit and vegetable grant. We wanted to make sure that that continued for kids, and by having funds that are not provided through the federal funding, we can fund those types of programs.
Okay. And then one of the things I was noticing as I was looking through the lunch menu, curious about some of the breakfast choices, which include things like brown sugar, cinnamon Pop-Tarts, cereals like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Choco, Zucaritas cereal, all of those with super high carb counts, which I'd imagine are all attributed to sugar. Just wondering
And we're certainly...
why those choices.
Actually, while I agree, they are high in carbs, the products that we use are a little bit different than what's available commercially. They are all whole grain. They are reduced sugar, again, even though they are higher in carbs. So one thing that we are constantly looking for are some more protein-based items to offer at breakfast. It's, again, with our Breakfast in the Classroom program especially, we're looking for prepackaged items. And so, again, we're working with manufacturers and asking for those things. And then the true reality is, cereal is one of the more popular items that kids look for.
Right. Just, yeah, the
It's a
choices
balance.
maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, those were my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Ms. Langford?
Thank you again for the presentation. I was just wondering, are there plans to expand the food rescue program?
Yes, certainly, again, with all of our programs, Breakfast in the Classroom, Food Rescue, we're not going to go in and tell a school that they need to do that. So we're making it schools aware that it's available, and then we usually identify a champion at that school. A lot of times it's the school nurse to make sure that the program is supported.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson?
Okay. What are the vegetarian choices, or how do students go about that if they need or want vegetarian?
Again, if parents complete the special diet request, we do make sure that there are items available for kids. A cheese sandwich is always available. I know that's not super exciting, but that's there. We have the cheese pizza and salads that are served with cheese, a lot of cheese.
Yeah, I think I've heard, that's one thing that I've heard, that there's just not a lot of choice for those students, so it kind of gets to be the same. But
Yeah, and we've got some things like bean burritos, and we didn't this year have the black bean burger. It didn't really go over well, but that's the challenge, is identifying foods that
They like,
are popular, that kids will eat, that we're not just producing them and having them thrown away.
okay, thanks.
Ms. Caldwell-Johnson?
Thank you. I had just two really quick questions. One of those is for the summer program. My organization has participated in it for a very long period of time, both breakfast and lunch. And one of the trends that we've really been noticing is the number of kids who are requesting fresh fruits and vegetables as part of their opportunity at lunchtime. So is there an opportunity to provide additional fruit and vegetable, or how do you go about determining quantities, and especially if we have students, and so many of ours are from other countries that are they really thrive on fruits and vegetables. Is there a way that we could modify that at all, or?
We are trying to introduce some more fresh fruits. We've got berries on the menu in June when they are available. Typically, as we're putting the meals together, we're looking at the USDA requirements, which is the fruit and vegetable is offered or packed into those lunches. Typically, we're not offering more than that. But that might be something we could discuss and see what some options would be if some bulk items, could be purchased and provided. Or
Okay, that would be great. I'll follow up with you on that. And then my other question goes to the supper program, because I think that's a great option. My question is, you currently are doing it at McCombs and Hyatt in conjunction with where you have the Boys and Girls Clubs. And you mentioned that a lot of the challenge has to do with staffing to be able to provide that. Can you help me understand what the staffing requirements are? Does it require that you have someone there? Can it be supplemented by volunteers? How does that work?
currently, the model that we use is, again, we're providing meals and a server at those sites. Again, they are hot meals, so that individual is preparing the food and serving the food. We certainly would be open to looking at some other options, but again, with the equipment in our kitchen, we really feel strongly that we want to make sure that our employees are the ones that are using, producing those meals.
And is the supper program also part of CACFP, or is that something completely
Correct,
different?
CACFP.
Okay. I'm going to follow up with you on that one, too.
Okay, very good.
Ms. Newcomb.
I really don't have any questions, and I appreciate you providing that link available directly on the slide, but also a quick reminder, it's actually within the app itself.
That's right.
And for those kids out there, you can rate your food right in the app. So I have to point that out so parents can look up right away. Love the apps. And also, I just have to point it out because every time I have the opportunity to see it is my son loves the tacos.
Great.
I kid you not, I cannot make anything that can even come close to the tacos that are served.
Well, you should come for a tour of our Central Nutrition Center because we make it hundreds of pounds at a time.
I know. I was kind of like, so how can I get this meat? I did inquire. Yes.
You wouldn't want to see the recipe. You wouldn't be making it at home.
I guess, and then my son is, lactose intolerant too. So we went through that process of kind of modifying his plan and everything. So definitely understand making sure that all the students meet those nutritional needs that they need. So appreciate all the help and all the great work of our staff.
Thanks.
Well, I have one quick question. So you comment and then a question. First of all, black bean burgers are delicious, so I don't understand why we're missing the boat on that. Question though is, how do you determine if you said we did this last year, didn't go over well, lead balloon, all that stuff? How do you know not to bring it back?
We are required to fill out production records that show how much food is prepared and how much food is discarded. And again, those are the tools that we use. It is a valid point. Just because it wasn't popular 2 years ago doesn't mean that reintroducing it again, it could be popular. But again, we just have to determine, what goes with the kids. And unfortunately, when we're serving 500 students, if it's one student that eats it on a regular basis, it's kind of hard to support keeping it on the menu.
Absolutely, and my comment was more in reference to my own personal preferences, and I just think it's got to be very tricky and fascinating to determine needs and market desire for certain products has got to be a real trick. So,
but as noted on the app, the kids can rate it. So we haven't had a whole lot of participation there, but it would be great to have more kids rating the foods. And if it's a 5-star food, we'll keep it. If it's a 1-star or no stars, maybe not.
Make the mustard.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation, Todd and Sandy. Okay, the next item on our agenda is a audit committee update. There's no action, and I believe there's no presentation on this item. So unless there is a comment or question from the board, I will move on to our next item. Seeing no interest. Next, we'll move to next item on our agenda being an action item. It's DMPS United Way Read to Succeed walk. Action is to for the full board to weigh in on whether to move forward with this action. So I will take a motion in a second.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Bozen, second by Ms. Newcomb. This is really a board-led discussion, and I want to turn it over to the folks who've been most involved in crafting this plan. So I'm looking at Connie, but
I'll start out just, I think everybody should have gotten the update. On the sheet, we've been working weekly almost, and now we will go weekly, according to what Deanna thought we should to get this thing rolling. It's basically the purpose to ensure students are proficient in reading by the end of 3rd grade. We all know that the new law is in place. We know it's been postponed, but it's really to raise awareness and also to provide an avenue to help get kids proficient. At the same time, we were kind of planning. United Way was doing their plan for that Read to Succeed. And I attended the press conference on that, and Phil Rader was there too, and we were saying, we're all trying to do the same thing. They're trying to find the volunteers. They have a program in place that we should tie together. And so we're basically going to be the conduit to go out and help them find volunteers to, read under their Power Hour program that they tie with Everybody Wins Iowa. The timeline is there. We've moved it up so we didn't bridge the 4th of July weekend, so the kickoff is June 17th, and then Saturday start walking. And it could be, we have the assessor office that's going to be printing up households, and you can walk half a day, you could walk every day over that 2-week period. It's pretty fluid. And so we're just talking about trying to get volunteers, whether it's through people we know. So we've set a goal for each one of us to find 10 walkers. The walkers to volunteer, going into whether we have staff that would want to walk, our church groups, various organizations that we know. And we're talking to Phil about creating a sign-up sheet on our website for the volunteers to walk. And so then once we get the volunteers to walk and go out, then we have the volunteers to read. And the United Way said to have funnel everybody to their website for Read to Succeed, and they will process all of that. And then Everybody Wins will do the training and implement where they need to go. And if Deanna, she's done some work on what schools they're in now and where we might be able to go. So I'll turn it over to anybody else on the committee if you want to add anything.
Ms. Langford.
Took board member feedback from the last time we brought this up at the board table about providing some focus to the effort. And so we met with both Karen, I think it's Liagas, and Mary McKendrick, who is the program coordinator for Everybody Wins Iowa. And so we just asked them which schools needed the most volunteers. And so that's the sheet that she sent me back an Excel sheet with some of the schools that have the highest need for volunteers, and that's what I passed out for you all. Excluding some Southside schools, and she emailed me back. I think I sent that out to the entire board at this point with McKinley and Lovejoy, and then a couple other Southside schools that also need volunteers. So we have schools in every part of town, essentially, that we could be recruiting volunteers for. We also did a lot of conversations about how we can make this, recognizing we have a lot of English language learning families, having some of our promotional materials, at least in Spanish, but also looking to see if there's some other languages that would be feasible. I think I'm getting some things mixed up because I know I sent out some minutes for the committee itself, so I'm wondering if some of those details might be relevant. We were looking at having 3 training dates for potential volunteers at 3 schools leading up to the actual event to recruit walkers to. Invite people to, I don't know if those are on, was that on this update, Connie?
Yes,
it is.
It's on.
Perfect.
Are the trainings mandatory for the volunteers?
Yes, because we want volunteers to understand who it is that Everybody Wins Iowa, who they're going, if we're going to go recruit volunteers to go volunteer with this organization, then you should be able to answer the basic questions of, what we're looking for and who the organization is.
And if we have to add more, we could possibly add some more. This is fluid. I mean, we want to encourage everybody that can do it. And if we have a large portion that these days don't work out for, we can always schedule something else. I think one thing too, we talked about having a T-shirt then for everybody that walks, so you'll be identified as the bright yellow with the Des Moines logo and logos from United Way and Everybody Wins. Also, doing a door hanger that would just put on every door, but instead of putting all the information, which we originally talked about in the door hanger, we would make a separate packet of a lot of information that we're going to determine Friday, actually, what maybe will go in that packet, and really leave that if we know that there's children at home. The other will be more geared to volunteering and read to your child, grandchild, 15 minutes a day, those kind of some helpful hints, but a whole complete packet of whether it be the lunch programs that are in the summer in the parks or wherever the schools, there's visiting or services doing something in the parks, whether the library, there's summer reading. So try to encourage people to know what opportunities there are for additional reading throughout the summer and even into the school year, and knowing that the library is free, things like that. So that's what we're putting together for the packet to leave if we know that there's children involved.
Rob, I just realized, we're bringing this before the board. So if there's some, nothing that we've said is set in stone. So,
Right.
We can figure out a way to be feasible where people get the information that they need and they don't need to attend a training. we can decide that.
I bring up the question because you're really looking for two commitments. You're looking for a commitment to walk, and you're looking for a commitment to go to the training. You don't want the second commitment, which is chronologically the first commitment, to turn people away. So we should be, and that's that's common with
Flexible.
anything. So we should be flexible and nimble in perhaps being able to train the day of. So if there's a large group coming on a specific Saturday to walk, be able to facilitate a training beforehand.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know why I said that so emphatically too. I was like, yes.
Well, you're hardcore, and we all know that, and we worry about that, but
I think the one thing too, different than like the graduation walk, this is hitting every door. It's really asking to volunteer. So we're not, we're not going into their lives about their students, really just to see. It's more like a campaign. But so the training we can do probably a little more flexible than what they do for like a graduation walk. But we do want them to be familiar with, as Deanna said, the Everybody Wins, and that it's a power hour, it's a lunch hour, it's one day a week. Well, you're very familiar with it because you still do it, right?
13 years.
So basically, it's kind of two-front. We need the volunteers to walk, and that doesn't mean they're going to volunteer to read, because some people's schedules won't allow that. But trying to find the people out in the community that maybe have that hour they could give, because there's some breakfast times. I know at my church we have a night program that we could use more volunteers too. So we can put all of that out. So it's really just inform the community. How can you help us get our kids proficient by third grade, and do an outreach and really link with the community in a whole different way than we've ever done before as a board.
Ms. Langford.
And I think we heard the feedback too about sending out an email to our various networks. And so I think you brought that up, Terry. So we talked about creating an Excel sheet to actually compile any contact or anyone in your network, whether it be an individual organization that you'd want to send out the invitation or the challenge to become a reading mentor in our schools, and then sending that out when we do the press kickoff on the 17th. So we're hitting it on two fronts, right? If we know folks aren't going to come out and volunteer to walk, but it's easier to just, go to the website and say, I want to be a reading mentor. We can come at it from that angle as well.
Right. Did we forget anything? Crew? Any questions from you guys? Any other ideas or?
Feel free to dress up like your favorite character.
Yeah, that's your favorite thing to do.
I know
I'll leave that to you.
the application we said would go through the DMPS website. If we moving down the line on that portal so that folks can start signing up for shifts. I know we're not going to roll it out immediately, but
Right, the key is to get approval, and then we'll start, kind of ramp it up, get things moving. And I know that Phil and his team have already put together a door hanger sample and kind of anticipation, so we're in pretty good shape because that needs to be printed pretty quick because they have to cut it, things like that. And so we have a complete calendar, and I don't know if I've shared that. I don't know if I shared it with everybody that we've put together on when we're right now after tonight. Go get volunteers. Then the 6th through the 10th, assemble packets, and then the walk. And one reason I think the walk was over a 2-week period is because it's summer, realizing that people maybe can't make that one day, but you could walk one evening and cover your neighborhood or whatever. So, and we'll be assembling the packets with the maps and things like that.
Ms. Langford.
On a general note too, when we went to go sit down with the staff at Everybody Wins Iowa, apologies for not opening that up to everyone. That was drop ball communication on our end. But one thing that we did learn from them, just about how the program's structured in general, is that teachers identify the students who are most struggling in reading. And then that mentor, they try to keep it consistent. They work with them through the 4th grade and sometime the 5th grade year. And so I just thought, we've been talking about Everybody Wins Iowa, but we haven't necessarily heard directly from them about what they do and how their programs are effective. So just some context, because we haven't been able to have the staff come and talk to the entire board, but what they're doing appears to be working. I know you've been doing it, 13 years is a long time.
Since it got started. Yep, followed it out to DC too.
I was just encouraged to hear directly from them about the work they're doing in the schools. So
I think they found out that you might start at younger grades, but people stay with those students. And there's also like a buddy program. So if you can't do it every week, you might have a person that can fill in if you're gone. So there's like 2 people. I wouldn't say you do much more than 2, but so if it's restrictive because you travel a lot or whatever, you can. They're pretty flexible. But I think, as you know, I'm sure you've seen increase or improvement for the students you've helped. So if we can in some way help build up a program that we currently already have in our district, and that one that United Way had chosen to be the conduit for all their volunteers, that I think it makes it more of a seamless thing for us. And now we just need to find the volunteers. I think they wanted 500 volunteers in 5 years. And I thought maybe we said 200 in the summer, but that's our goal.
That's great. Well, yeah, you keep referencing my history with this program. This was Everybody Wins was a program that got started in the 90s in New York City, and it was the term Power Lunch came from, I believe, a Wall Street executive, if I remember right, that decided that they wanted to use their lunch hour to go read at a public school, and started recruiting some people. And if I remember right, I can't remember if it was either Senator Jim Jeffords from Vermont or Senator Ted Kennedy from Massachusetts, which one heard about it first, but they both kind of adopted it and brought it down to Washington. And so Everybody Wins has been down in DC for about 20 years. And Senator Harkin, my old boss, was a big fan and a weekly reader. And so were many of his staff. And so he used earmark money to bring it out to Iowa in 2002, fall of 2002, and it's been at Monroe every year since then, and expanded out from there. So I have been reading all of those years. Even when I moved out to Washington, I read out there, and I just finished my 3rd year with a boy who's graduating from Monroe, or moving on from Monroe to Meredith. And so I read with him for 3 years. Over the last 2 years, it took us the better part of 2 years over that really short lunch hour to finish Percy Jackson, The Lightning Thief, which was a big accomplishment when we got it done. And his reading level improved markedly from the beginning of that book about a year and a half ago to 2 weeks ago when we finished it. And it was a big achievement when we did. It wasn't the first chapter book he had finished, but it was the first chapter book he'd finished with me. And it's an important program in that sense, and it's a way to have a tangible impact. And the mentors that I read with every week are people that I've been reading with for most of those years. It's a program that folks are rather loyal to because of the tangible impact that you can have on young people, and the minimal time commitment. So it's something that is valuable, and it was a good choice for you all to move on. So I'm very excited about this. Any other discussion? We do have a motion and a second to move forward on this project, so I'll ask for the vote. Motion passes 7-0. Look forward to continue to hear from you all and in being a part of this effort. Very good. Next item on our agenda is the superintendent's contract. This is also an action item. I'll take a motion to move forward on that.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Bozen and second by Ms. Ellsburn. Is there any discussion? And I will note something that I've noted in my regular update to folks, but this is not a forum in open session for comment on performance. There's space to talk about reasons to vote for or against something, but we must respect employee confidentiality in open session. Anyone wishing to discuss? Ms. Boson?
I just want to say that I think we're very fortunate to have Superintendent Ahart. He's now the only superintendent in the U.S., I believe, testifying on behalf of schools at a Senate hearing tomorrow. So I think he not only shows leadership in our district, but the state and at a national level.
All right. Hearing no further discussion, we have a motion and a second to approve. Please vote. Motion passes 7-0. Next item, open enrollment appeals for denial. We have two folks wishing to speak to this item. I'm going to call the motion in the second to get to the item, and then we'll call up the folks who've asked to speak. Do you have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Caldwell-Johnson, second by Ms. Langford. Can I call Matt, is it Cowie? Cowie.
My name is Matt Cowie. My address is 672 Gepke Parkway, 50320. Requesting Madison Cowie to be open enrolled into Southeast Polk District. I'm a medically retired service-connected veteran. We've been looking for houses in Des Moines metro area since I got back from Afghanistan in 2011. The only house that fits our needs and in our price range need to be fixed up. We feel our daughter should have the best education possible, as does any parent. Madison has always been on the top of her class with the possibility of skipping a grade, but we do not want to do that due to the social effects it may have on her. We feel moving Madison to Southeast Polk will be the best for her. Moving Madison to another school district within Des Moines public school system with higher scores we feel would not benefit her socially. We feel moving her to Southeast Polk will be a good move socially for her because she's been playing soccer in Altoona since 2011 and on the same team since 2012. She has also been playing softball for the last 2 years for Altoona. I help coach on both of her teams. And I believe I did submit the hardships. You guys probably have a report of Studebaker, where she goes now, in math, reading, and science compared to Southeast Polk. As you can see, the numbers are significantly different, anywhere between 10 and 15 points difference, all the way from 5th grade to 12th grade. And I believe that's it. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Cowie. Next, I'll ask Courtney Vest. Speak.
Hello, my name is Courtney Vest, address 1155 23rd Street, Des Moines, 50311. I am here tonight to appeal the denial of our open enrollment application. The stated reason that our request was denied was due to the Des Moines Public Schools diversity plan. However, we are a homeschool family, and we haven't been, and we won't be for this coming year, attending our local elementary. I have read through your diversity plan, and I understand your goal of strengthening your educational effectiveness at your local schools by having a diverse student population. However, we won't be attending those schools, so allowing us to open enroll or not isn't actually contributing to or taking away from the culture of the elementary that we have been assigned to. We did have to submit some income information as part of our open enrollment process, and the district used that information to make the determination that we could not open enroll. And while that information that we provided might fulfill a ratio or a number for the district, it's not actually fulfilling the spirit of the stated diversity plan. The hardship that our family faces is that we have been accepted, but right now we're unable to participate in another homeschool assistance program through a different district. We have participated in the homeschool assistance program through Des Moines Public Schools, but this program that we would like to try just uses a bit of a different educational format. They're is more hours of supplemental instruction that are offered. And the schedule that they offer is just a better fit for our family. And it's something that we'd like to try for this coming year. Our family's educational choices have been restricted by denying us an open enrollment application without actually causing much benefit to the school district through the diversity policy, which was cited as our reason for the denial. But I do appreciate the Des Moines Public Schools, even the service that we've received through the homeschool assistance program in this past year, and to you as board members for serving the students and the community. And I appreciate you considering my appeal as well.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none. Before I call the vote, I want to just lay out a couple things less for the board, but more for those participating here. So the board is really spending some time, including after this meeting tonight, going through how we handle our role in open enrollment requests. And so this is your individual cases are part of a larger process that we're wrestling with and better trying to figure out. I would say that so bear in mind that this is part of a big process for us, and I guess I'll leave it at that. Ms. Langford.
Is it too late for questions?
The board, how do I state this when I talk about it? The board's discussion is focused on those up here and the information brought to us, and it's not a time for board engagement with the public. So. All right, I'll.
May I ask one quick question? I was curious, how many applications get processed versus how many get approved? Because it, in the letter stated that everyone's assigned a random number as long as you get your application on time, and they start with number 1. So I'm just curious on what the ratio is on how many is accepted versus how many are approved.
Sure. So I'm going to call the vote in just a second here, but I'll ask Eleanor from our open enrollment staff to kind of give that information out to you, which is there's a question from the audience about number of applications and number of approvals, and I think there's a process to explain there, and I'll ask our staff to explain that. So we have a motion and a second.
I do have one additional question. I apologize. I thought somebody else was going to ask this question, but they didn't. One of the requests that was on our last agenda was deferred until tonight. And I was just hoping that we might be able to get an update on what exactly was discussed with the parent relative to that particular case. I think the last name was Huddleston. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there is an update, or did we receive anything, or if we did, I apologize for missing it.
Mm-hmm. I don't think
Mr. Smith.
Yeah, I have no knowledge if there was any.
I know Eleanor Shirley is shaking her head over there. Yes. So
Maybe have her.
Eleanor,
do you know the answer to that?
Can you?
Mm-hmm. Please.
Yes.
And again, I'm not trying to make a big deal out of it. I think it's appropriate for us to have a little feedback, especially since that was one we specifically deferred to this agenda. So,
certainly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Included in the spreadsheet that was part of the board packet, I outlined the conversation that I had with the parent that came and spoke to the board on 2 separate occasions. I explained to her the options that were available in the Des Moines district as far as her concerns with the dance team and when those tryouts would be held. So she knew there was still an opportunity for her to participate. During that conversation, she stated many things, and at one point said, well, to be honest with you, I'm not interested in any of the Des Moines schools.
Thank you.
Do you want me to answer the question about the percentage that have been released, or do you want to wait for that?
I'll let you handle that off board time.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions from the board?
Maybe I do have another question. And I'm not familiar enough with homeschooling or any of the requirements. Am I out of order asking a question about the homeschool provisions and how they apply here based on the information that was shared by
Not
one
at
of the
all.
parents? It would be helpful. I'm just for clarification.
Students that participate in our home instruction program are included in our demographic information. So when we're determining the diversity in the district, they are included in that program and would be subject then to the diversity policy that is in place by, mandated, first of all, by the court and then approved by the board. So although they're home instruction, they are included in our numbers and our percentages.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Discussion? Okay, please vote. Motion passes with 5 yes, 1 no, and 1 abstention. All right, I'll move to our next item, which is items of privilege. Chair's report, it will be brief. The board will be participating in commencement exercises in between now and our next board meeting, and the list of commencement ceremonies was shared with the board earlier this week. We'll look forward to shaking lots of hands, maybe giving out a few hugs, and handing out a lot of diplomas over the next 2 weeks. And with this time of the school year ending too, it's appropriate to note the teachers who are retiring. And I'm looking forward to going to the district's lunch, recognizing teachers, retiring teachers tomorrow at noon. I think a handful of my board colleagues are planning to join, and that's always a very nice event to pay homage and give recognition to some educators who have really put their money where their mouth is, and given of themselves in mind, body, and soul to educate the kids that we care so much about. So with that, I know there are a few board members that have comments as well. I'll give it over to Ms. Ellsman first, and I know Ms. Newcomb's next too. Anyone else after?
Wanted to bring up, we all got an email maybe a couple of weeks ago regarding a public forum for the Windsor Heights City Council regarding sidewalks on 64th Street going from University to Coles. That was an issue. They held a public forum for citizens and business owners of Windsor Heights. I believe it was last Monday. Heather, Connie, and I attended. The issue was supposed to be voted on at last night's Windsor Heights City Council meeting. It did not get voted on. It got delayed one more time. What Connie, Heather, and I talked about was perhaps the board having some sort of letter of support or for a safe route to school for our Coles Montessori children and families and staff. So that is something that I wanted to bring up to this group and see what everyone thought.
Like the idea.
I think so. It's also, in talking with the mayor, they didn't realize that we had given Coles a boundary, even though it's small, but trying to create more of a neighborhood school for the people that live right around it. So it even, to me, makes more sense that you would want to get a safe route. I know some of the people that spoke said that there's another grade school in another district that has sidewalks and crossings and things like that. So I think that we should at least have the same opportunity for our students at Coles.
I think you're seeing
I think I'm okay.
no disagreement, at least.
Seeing no disagreement, which is great because I've drafted a letter on your behalf, Mr. Barron, and I will share it with you.
I look forward to reading my letter. Ms. Newcomb.
I'll go ahead and just keep this short. I had forwarded an email, the language of, from a parent that had wanted to express their gratitude and the staff that helped them. They did not end up with the outcome they were expecting or hoping for necessarily, but they really valued the time that the staff had shared. And so it is available in your emails. And I was going to read it, but I think time-wise, you guys can read it on your time. So.
Any other items of privilege from the board? Turn it over to Mr. Smith for superintendent's report.
The only thing I'd like to just is to highlight again, and you referenced it, Rob, is that this is that time of year where we're celebrating students and staff, and it as we're closing out one school year and preparing for another, it's a well-deserved recognition and celebration of many of the accomplishments of our schools, our students, and our staff. They've achieved remarkable results this school year, and the school year's not over yet. And so we expect more to come, but as often as you can make it out, I know the staff loves to see you all in the buildings, and they appreciate very much what you do to lead and serve in this district. So thank you very much again for your service, and we look forward to ending the school year on a very positive note, just like it began.
Thank you. Well, with that, I'll adjourn the meeting. We have a work session planned right afterwards on a Des Moines teacher retirement plan and open enrollment appeals. So we'll adjourn, take a quick break, and then reconvene back at the board dais. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. 5 minutes, super quick.